July the 7th, 2005 began as just another ordinary day in London.
That was until the city was hit by a series of attacks, claiming the lives of many.
OK.
Fire engines and police cars filled the streets of London on that fateful day 8 years ago. For some victims of the July 7th attacks, that chilling sound of sirens would have lasted longer than for others. 4 coordinated bomb attacks ripped through London's transport network, killing 56 people, including the bombers themselves.
Whatever they do, it is our determination that they will never succeed.
Londoners united then, just as they will this Sunday, when the nation marks the 8th anniversary of the July 7th attacks. It's a particularly difficult time of the year for those who were involved, but many of the survivors say time is an incredible healer, and the right sort of advice and guidance can help put this terrible incident behind them.
A chilling reminder there of the 7/7 attacks. We're joined today in the studio by survivor Jackie Putnam and also chair of the 7/7 Memorial Trust, Philip Nelson.
Welcome
very
to the
good
show.
evening.
Good evening
Thank
to
you
you
for
both.
having us on.
Is that right, Jackie? As I mentioned in the video, time does heal.
Yes and no. Some things heal, physical injuries heal, the mental scars don't heal. Many survivors experienced post-traumatic stress disorder, which is what soldiers get when they come back from war. And there is treatment for it. There's very effective treatment for it. But you still have to learn to manage it. It doesn't go away.
I mean, you were very, very fortunate to survive the attack. I mean, there's a story behind why you sat in the first carriage.
Yes.
Towards Edgware Road at that time.
Yes.
What's behind the story?
Well, I was going to get on the train in the same carriage that Mohammed Siddiqui Khan got on. But there was a young lad who was staring at people, and I just felt as if normally that it doesn't bother me, but I just felt a bit uncomfortable, so I walked on to the next carriage.
Amazing.
That young man saved my life.
I mean, even so, you did suffer terrible injuries. As you said, the physical injuries, thank God, have healed. But it must take an incredible amount of bravery to get on a tube again.
It was the first thing I had to learn to do, and I did it very quickly because I knew if I didn't,
Yeah, the longer you leave it.
the longer you leave it, the harder it is. So I did it as quickly as I could, and I had to do it alone as well. People offered to come with me, but it was something I had to do alone.
That's very brave. I mean, look, if it's okay with you, I just want to ask you what happened.
I was sitting when the train pulled into Edgware Road. I was sitting in a seat, and I was sitting in a corner seat where there's a glass partition. It's not really glass; it's a sort of
Yes, that's right.
That was here, and when there was a flash, and the air was full of tiny shards of glass which were flying through the air at great speed, and it all happened in a split second, and I saw the engineer's access panel just disappeared, and I was looking at a gaping hole of moving machinery. The power had cut from the train, but the momentum kept the train going forward. And at the same time, I felt this tremendous push in my back that pushed me forward on this side from behind, because I was protected by this partition, and it pushed me forward. So I found myself going towards this hole. So I had a newspaper, and all I could think of was the aircraft crash position. So I just sort of did that.
I mean, that just sounds so frightening.
The air was full of all the smoke and the soot that's on the tunnel walls. The air was full of it.
Let us bring Philip in here. Where does your connection come into this?
Well, my involvement with the survivors, the families, and also the members of the emergency service is a lot more recent. After the London bombings, Camden Council asked me if I would lead a fundraising campaign to raise necessary funds to refurbish Tavistock Square, the site most closely associated with the attacks. And we were successful in raising £650 £360,000. And when we had the opening ceremony back in May 2011, we invited the emergency services that attended, the families, some of the survivors, and actually leading from that day in the conversations, there was an appetite for a more positive memorial, and we've developed a lecture series. Last year we were fortunate to have Baroness Kennedy. This year we had Ian Blair, who was obviously a Metropolitan Police Commissioner at the time, and also we're campaigning for a new 7/7 memorial in Tavistock Square, and the difference between that and the National Memorial, which was obviously funded by the state, as you'd expect it to be, is that ordinary Londoners from many different walks of life will have the opportunity to contribute
towards that. It's important, isn't it? It's important about drawing everyone in, really. Something we should. It is a London thing.
Everybody was affected that day.
That's right. Everyone was affected. I remember it so well. In fact, I was here in the offices the day it happened. I remember.
I mean, you mentioned one of the first things you did was hit the underground and try and get back on that tube.
Yes, I did.
What other steps have you taken since then to try and get back onto some kind of recovery?
I needed to go to work, and because to me that was a safe environment. It was structured, and I wasn't any good, but my company that I was working for were brilliant, and they let me sit in a desk in the corner, and they gave me work to do that they didn't expect to get done, and they gave me time to come to terms with it, and it was a great help, and I did slowly sort of climb my way back. Other things were, the thing that I've done recently is a year ago I joined the rock choir, because I used to sing a lot and I couldn't sing at all. Music was too deeply emotionally
just evocative.
Yes, and I just couldn't bear to listen to it, and and I thought that I need to get this back. So it really is a process of step by step, and you try not to look too far ahead, because, and I think this is true of any trauma that you're dealing with. Don't set yourself a mountain to climb. Just take the next step.
Yeah.
Inevitably, makes you look at life differently, I suppose.
It does.
Very. I've said this before. The woman who stepped on the train at King's Cross is not the same woman who climbed out of the wreckage at Edgware Road.
Well,
but it's just about sorry.
That's right. I was going to say. I mean, we heard about the plans, fantastic plans to build a new memorial in 2015. I love the idea that everybody can contribute to that. But what are the plans for this weekend?
Well, the plans for this weekend, every year there's a commemoration at the National Memorial in Hyde Park. Everybody is welcome to attend. I think this year, because we had a lot more publicity around the lecture, then we will probably see, hopefully, an increase in numbers, but we would welcome people from all faiths,
what
from all
time are you
walks of
looking
life.
at?
It's 11:30.
11:30.
Yes, and it's a non-denominational event. It's a commemoration event. We read the names out of the people who died. We have some speakers. We have a choir who sings some very beautiful songs. They're not hymns. It's very non-denominational.
Yeah.
And because we want everyone to come.